What are the main themes in Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen? Jane Austen was a famous 19th century English lady novelist, and her most famous novel is Pride and Prejudice, published in 1813. This novel is still very popular and read by many people all over the world, and it has also been made into film and TV series. The major themes, ideas, or subjects in Pride and Prejudice include: number one, marriage. The dominant theme in the novel, as in other novels of Jane Austen, is marriage. Her art as a writer is to show the readers a few well-bred characters who are faced with relationship problems, who eventually succeed in resolving these problems and finally get married. For example, in Pride and Prejudice, we are shown the romance of Elizabeth and Darcy and how they eventually come together. By comparison, we are shown the failed romance of Lydia and Wickham, who are young and immature. We are also shown a marital relationship of an older couple, Mr. and Mrs. Bennet, and how they have adapted to many years together. In 19th century England, when Jane Austen was writing, marriage was thought to be the best hope or choice, especially for young women. Number two, family and parental responsibility. Another important theme of the novel is that of family, especially the responsibility of parents to look after their children, especially to help their young daughters to make wise and happy marriages and settle down. In this novel, we see how Mr. and Mrs. Bennet are not really very responsible. They are not able to help or guide Elizabeth or Lydia. Elizabeth is lucky to get good advice from her aunt and uncle. She is more mature and learns from her mistakes to find happiness with Mr. Darcy. But Lydia is immature, and Mr. and Mrs. Bennet don't guide her, nor do they watch over her, so she ends up in a negative relationship. Number three, society. The novel Pride and Prejudice has been called a novel of manners. In this novel, Jane Austen shows us the country society of her time, how people lived, how they behaved, what were the manners of the country gentry, what were their social customs, their courtship customs, their ways that they intermingled, and how they established their relationships with each other. This is a very important aspect because even today, critics and historians and scholars, they can look at these examples from the novels of Jane Austen, especially Pride and Prejudice, and they can learn about the 19th century, the early 19th century society in England of that time. appearance and reality. Number 4. The fourth major theme of Pride and Prejudice is appearance and reality. Jane Austen tells us that things are not always what they seem to be. For example, in the relationship of Elizabeth and Darcy, we have many misunderstandings. Elizabeth thinks that Darcy is very arrogant, full of pride, and that is a wrong judgment on her part. She cannot distinguish between the appearance and the reality. Darcy is not really an arrogant person. He is in fact a very gentlemanly person of a quiet nature. In the same way, we can see other characters in this novel. We can see actions and activities, things which are happening, which are not always what they seem. It is a philosophical thought, a subject which is given by Jane Austen in Pride and Prejudice, for people to consider, for readers to think about. Why do we often consider just appearances to be reality? Why can't we not try and assess or evaluate reality on an independent and objective basis? As a student of human nature, as a writer, Jane Austen often raises very important questions, and this is a very important question. There are other minor themes also, but these are the 4 main and major themes in Pride and Prejudice. Thank you.